Boy. Girl?
Boy.
Yeah?
Not very cooperative with pictures. But yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
Ready, Freddie?
Hello everybody, welcome into episode 43 of Rhymer on the Road. That is Ann. I am Scott. Thanks so much for following along with us. If you've been following us from the beginning, you know Ann keeps up with Instagram and kind of keeps people ahead of the game, ahead of these YouTube. So tell people how they can get engaged with that.
So go to Rhymer on the Road
Yep.
on Instagram, and I will occasionally make some posts about sort of our current location.
Yep, and it's usually it is always ahead of these videos. That's right, so that's certainly something that you want to do. We are enjoying the desert Southwest. We kind of laughed a little bit about how warm it was in Southern California and that we would eventually get in some cooler weather. And yeah, we've gotten into a little bit of cooler weather.
We've had some fronts come through that have brought in a little bit cooler weather.
Yeah, but it's been awesome. The desert Southwest is awesome, and we can't wait to share this video with you, episode 43 of Joshua Tree National Park. But before we get to that, we always let you know where we're headed next so that you can give us some feedback. And that is?
We are going to Death Valley National Park.
All right, so we continue our trip around the desert Southwest. Another national park is on the horizon. We look forward to that. So give us your best hikes, your must-dos, the things that you just don't want to miss in Death Valley National Park. You can do that on Instagram, Rhymer on the Road. You can comment here on YouTube, Facebook, whatever's the easiest way for you to give us that feedback. We look forward to having that. But right now, it's all about episode 43. It's Joshua Tree National Park in the Palm Springs, California area. Here we go. Let's start with Joshua Tree. In my mind, Joshua Tree National Park was all about the Joshua trees. That's what the park is named after. And those are amazing. So let's start with that. You're kind of just driving along outside of Palm Springs. You go up through the mountains, and then all of a sudden, these Joshua trees start appearing.
They start appearing, and they really are a very unique, special look to them, and so along the desert landscape, they really stood out.
Yeah, and they are, again, sprouting up almost out of nowhere. There's plenty of them. All the Joshua trees are pretty easy to see. I mean, you know, you can do it just in a car. There are several pull-offs and several overlooks, but it's not difficult to find the main attraction, and the main attraction, of course, is the Joshua Tree.
Just going through the main drive, you're going to see them on either side of you throughout the park.
All right, as you know, most national parks, or many of them, I don't know if I should say most, do not allow dogs. And Joshua Tree National Park is one of the ones that does not allow them. Now, you can bring your dog with you in the car and in the parking lots and those types of things, but you can't get out on the walking trails with your dogs. And so we really weren't sure how long we were going to be inside of Joshua Tree here today. So we brought Leo just to, you know, not have to worry about getting back if we were in the middle of something. And this is an opportunity to kind of show what we do. Ann is currently on a very short little hike, less than a mile or so, I think it is. And I stayed back here in the truck. Leo's back here behind me, and I'm just gonna eat my lunch, and then while Ann's gone, and she'll take some pictures and video and do all of that. And then the next hike, or the next area where we would want to go for a hike, where we can't because Leo's with us, I'll get to go, and I'll take the camera and the video and get some video, and Ann will stay and she'll probably eat her lunch. And so we just kind of tag team it. You got to eat your lunch at some point anyway. We can, you know, while watching the video or looking at the pictures isn't the same as actually being there, you know, in the moment. You can't do everything, and we can't be everywhere. And sometimes it just logistically makes the most sense for us to tag team and swap out. And that way Leo's able to come along with us and enjoy a quiet lunch and get your hikes in, the short ones at least, even if it's just by yourself and not together as a team. San Andreas Faults. Kind of in the middle of the valley there, that ridge. Ground zero for the next earthquake. What I didn't know about Joshua Tree National Park is that it's so much more than just the trees. There's a lot of rock formations in there, a lot of cacti.
Yeah.
It has a diversity to it that before I entered the park had no idea about.
Yeah, and it had some red rocks, had mountains around it. Yeah, I don't really know what I was expecting, but it turned out to be just a beautiful place, very unique. And actually diverse. I mean, it just had a lot of stuff going for it.
Yeah, and a little bit of elevation change at different times throughout it, and so that gives you kind of a different landscape of the area. But again, if you're looking to go to Joshua Tree National Park, you're probably going for the Joshua trees. You're going to see plenty of those. Believe me when I say that. But you're also going to see some other cool stuff, and I think that's what is the biggest surprise in a good way about Joshua Tree National Park was to me.
Yeah.
And one of the highlights of the Palm Springs area, at least to me, and we love it, Ann and I will always, if we can find a cable car or a tram, anything to go up on a mountain, we're on it. And Palm Springs has a great one.
It does. It was the Palm Springs Aerial Tramway, and several people had recommended doing it, and it lived up to its hype. I mean, the actual tram rotates, so that was the first time we've been on a tram that rotates. Scrambles over there. then it had just some great overlooks once you got up there. And, you know, we did a hike to those overlooks, but you can also just go up there. There's a restaurant up top. There was a restaurant at the bottom of the tramway as well. And you could actually just see the overlooks from the actual building without having to do hikes. So if you didn't want to, if you weren't up for the hikes, you could still get up there and see the great overviews.
Yeah, the rotating tram was awesome.
Yeah.
And what is a little different, I think, about this tram and lift up to the top was that there's a state park at the top and had all kinds of stuff going on. Now, we did a little bit of a hike or two, a loop trail to kind of get to some of the overlooks, but I think there's a pretty vast array of things you could do on top of the mountain.
Yes, I think so. And even winter stuff. I think they had like snowshoeing and different winter activities, which of course we did not partake in because there was no snow. Now, what, a week after we left?
There was snow.
There was snow. So we timed it just to get up there to where we could experience it without having to trudge through the snow.
All right, when we arrived here, this is a 50 amp hookup site, or supposed to be at least. But when we hooked up to the 50 amp, which is here, I was getting an error message on my power surge, and all the lights weren't lighting up, which it's hard to see here because it's so bright out this morning. So really, this is my 50 amp power cord. It should be going into here so that we can have a full 50 amp, but unfortunately that was not the case on this trip. But no problem, because I have this 30 amp dog bone that if I need to use 30 amp, of course my rig is set up for 50 amp, so I have to convert the 30 power outlet, because this is a different outlet than the 50, using this dog bone into my power surge, and then of course into the rig. But it's a good example of why having a external power surge is good. We've got one on the inside of the rig as well to really protect us from a surge or a lightning strike or something like that. But this is helpful because you can get a quick reading on whether you've got appropriate power in your connection here at the campsites. So this was an example of having this power surge here and knowing, because my lights were not right and not lit up correctly, I knew that my 50 amp was not working, and I needed to move on to the 30 amp, which again worked fine. It's first world problems.
Joy, a catchy blend. Oh, with claps and chimes, it starts to crescendo. Bounce around, jump with the flow. Tap your feet, let's steal the show. Hey. Clap your hands now, spin around. Free. a cheer. Shake it off, no room for fear. Woo! Every note is like a friend. This playful tune will never end. Not stomp.
Okay, packing up here, final day in Palm Springs area at the Thousand Trails, Palm Springs. This was one of the trickiest setups we've had to get into, and it won't do it justice because our neighbor has left, but I'm going to show you what we had to kind of navigate as we came in a couple of days ago here. All right, now here's our site, which again doesn't do justice because this guy just left this morning, and you can see his tire tracks coming here. His truck, when we got here, was probably lined up about halfway into our pad. Now he agreed to move it if we needed him to, and we did need him to, but he was kind of coming over here. But you can see that our site itself would extend from the edge of that patio there down here. Well, you know, and that looks nice and wide open and all that kind of stuff, and it is once you get in there. But let me show you the way this campground is laid out. You've got all these beautiful palm trees, probably planted and during an era many years ago, because these are old palm trees, that rigs were much smaller than they are right now. And while that looks pretty, it creates a very difficult and challenging back end, because you see you've got a tree here and then the tree here, and you can see our tree on our site was really leaning, as they all do. And so luckily we didn't have anybody in this spot here when we arrived, which helped a little bit. But again, you can kind of see what we were dealing with as we tried to rope alley around this tree that was leaning, also knowing that the truck of our neighbor, which is no longer there, was sitting right here. So our window was really tight. And then of course we've got the long bed truck, which is awesome because you don't have to worry about jackknifing when you back up and all that kind of stuff. And then we've got a 35-foot rig, but the 35-foot, really 36-foot rig plus the long bed of the truck creates a situation where you can't pull forward very far on these tight sites because of this tree here and or the car. And so we were really kind of navigating as we pulled the truck up to back up, going up against this tree here and trying to bend it around that tree there. And again, I'm not sure how much that really shows in terms of how difficult it was now that our neighbor's gone. But trust me when I say it was probably the tightest back end that we've had since we've been on this trip, and it was definitely the biggest challenge. And we've had several in this second half of the trip, but this one was certainly topped it for now. Hopefully we won't have any more difficult than this one.
Okay, there you go. Episode 43 is in the books as we continue our trip around the desert Southwest. It does not disappoint, I must say that, and we're enjoying this. If you're following us chronologically, we're now in February, and we are absolutely loving the beautiful desert Southwest. All right, Palm Springs area. Let's talk a little bit about Palm Springs. It is a great base camp to get to Joshua Tree, probably the biggest town near Joshua Tree National Park.
For sure, the biggest, yes. And it's, you know, it's got some suburbs. Like I think we were in Desert Palms and not Palm Springs, but we were in the Palm Springs area. Of course, there is Joshua Tree that you could stay at, and it had, you know, I think it had some accommodations, and I think there were some campgrounds up that way, but we wanted to be closer to civilization and more stuff and more options for us to do, so it was easier for us to drive in, but then also take advantage of being in the Palm Springs area.
So the desert Southwest, and we're in February, if you're following us chronologically, is really a great place to kind of get to and stay in and meander around to avoid winter. And even though it can get cool at night, and it has gotten cool at night, and even though a front could come through and it could get colder, this is the place to be in the winter.
Yeah. I mean, the overnight cold, that's easy, and that's almost expected when the sun goes down. But it is a excellent area to hang out with to avoid those really extreme cold.
And getting to and from Palm Springs, and then as we've kind of meandered our way around the desert Southwest, don't let the desert and the Mojave Desert and these names make you think of desolation and sand and scrub brushes and all that kind of stuff. It really has a lot of diversity to the scenery of it, both in elevation, in rocks and trees.
And the beautiful mountain scenery.
Yes.
I mean, I think a lot of people might not realize the desert has so many mountains. It's beautiful.
All right, there you go. Episode 43 is in the books. Thanks for following along on Reimer on the Road as we continue this journey. Over halfway, we're beginning to get 3/4 of the way through the trip. So it's kind of sad, but it's also exciting that this is kind of coming to fruition in front of our very eyes. So for Anne, for Leo, and of course for Scott, we appreciate you following us along. And don't forget, no matter what you do, what profession you're in, what travel goals you have, do it today.
Thank you.